NBA news, the biggest story so far floating around is James Harden. Yes, James Harden, the beard, might be on the move. You guys, if you guys didn't know, the Philadelphia 76ers hired Daryl Morey as their new president of basketball operations. And if you don't know, Daryl Morey's like the biggest James Harden fan in the world. Like, I think he might love James Harden more than he loves his mama, honestly. So he's already came up, well, he hasn't come out and said, but reports have said Shams Charania, who's a reliable source, said today that the 76ers are aggressively going to be pursuing James Harden in a trade, hypothetically. So what do you think about that?
I really like the move for Philly. It'll be really fun to watch James Harden and Joel Embiid play basketball together. That pick and roll would be monstrous. Like that would.
I mean, the last time James Harden played with a semi-dominant big man was Dwight Howard, but he didn't even get the dominant Dwight Howard, so it wasn't even really the same. Like, but even that team, they went to Western Conference Finals, so like let's not act like that team was a wash.
But like, imagine Joel Embiid, who's arguably the top 3 center in the NBA. Like that's like not gonna call it a Walmart version of, that's not Walmart. It's, say like Kobe and Shaq.
I knew that's what you were thinking. I knew you were thinking Kobe and Shaq. It's definitely not Walmart, Kobe and Shaq. It's literally just like, it's like 80% of Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that would be, imagine getting that once again. And then Embiid can still stretch the floor a little bit too. So
no, he can't, man. Stop lying for Embiid. Embiid cannot stretch the floor. That's one of the biggest misses in the NBA. Just because Embiid takes 3-point shots and doesn't look bad when he shoots them, doesn't mean he can shoot threes. He can't shoot threes, bro.
But the occasional one will go in. It's not a 0.
Okay, yeah, I mean, like he's still not reliable out there on the perimeter.
It's not reliable, but like if
it's all it is if Embiid hits a 3, you're not shocked. That's all it really is.
Exactly, and I can live with that. You know,
Yeah.
I don't expect a crazy amount better, and he can bring it inside a little bit. Like he has a good post game.
No, he has a good in between game, like
Yeah,
in the mid range.
so-
Yeah, that's what.
So I think it can work really well. And the only thing is the Philly brass ready to be like, Simmons is the guy that has to go and Embiid is the one that we keep? Because Simmons and Harden together doesn't make sense.
You know, literally just about to say, I honestly do think there is a way that could work, but yeah, I wouldn't want to do it. But what I will say is, getting off Ben Simmons to get James Harden to me isn't a like courageous move or like a crazy move. You know,
No,
like
it's not.
that's the smart move to me. You're getting a player who fits better with Joel Embiid and who's also better than the player you're losing. So it's just a win-win. Like, if Sixers can do this, they should go on and do it. But Tillman Fertitta's already came out and said that James Harden is not going anywhere.
Yeah, the Rockets. But for me, I don't get what the Rockets' plan is now, though, because with Russell Westbrook there, it seems like they can't win. And I really...
And you can't even really trade James Harden for Ben Simmons because then you have Westbrook and Ben Simmons on the same backcourt. That's literally the worst NBA team ever. I don't care if they have 2 All-Stars. Imagine watching the game with Ben Simmons and Westbrook on the same team. That would be hilarious. That would be so bad. Just a bunch of brick jumpers. Westbrook will be driving. You'll kick up to Simmons, clank. It'll be what would actually happen is Westbrook would drive, kick up to Simmons, and Simmons would drive, kick up to Russ would drive, kick up to Simmons, because they both can't shoot when they kick it out to them. So it's like, what are you doing here?
It'll be some bad basketball, I'll say that.
So that's why, like, even though Shams is a reliable source, and obviously the Sixers probably do want James Harden, I just don't see it getting done. But what I do see, I do believe trading for James Harden is a potential like option. I believe a team out there who could potentially go and get James Harden is the Phoenix Suns, actually. I was thinking about today about who really has a package that would entice the Rockets to get James Harden. Phoenix, they could give them their first round pick this year. It will be a pretty high pick. They give him Kelly Oubre, and they give him DeAndre Ayton, up-and-coming superstar big man. And if that's not enough, they give him to Michael Bridges. Look at all those young pieces there. And you pair up, and James Harden's from, he's not from Arizona. James Harden played his college basketball in Arizona, and he has a home there. So that alone, you could tell he already loves the state of Arizona. Yeah. So I don't think if the trade was proposed to him, I don't think he'd be as opposed to it as people would think.
I don't think so either. That's
him and Book, like that would be crazy.
That's not a bad idea. It'll kind of be like the Anthony Davis trade where you, not as many picks obviously, but you got the 3 young solid building pieces, and I think those 3 young pieces are almost low key. They could be better than the Lakers gave up with the.
Well, Ian, to me, I think Ian is a little better than Ingram. Actually, nah. Ingram's better. So the Lakers had a better package. But
it's pretty close because the Josh Hart fall off, I feel like, from Bridges is, I think.
Yeah, Bridges is a good amount better than Josh Hart.
Than Josh Hart.
But even regardless of that, if you're the Rockets, you literally don't have any first round picks for like the next 5 years. So you do need to get some first round picks back because that's the only way to really rebuild your team. And then getting a young player like Ayton wouldn't make having Westbrook on your team as bad as it usually would have been.
No,
because Because then if you have, like, the starting lineup would probably be something, a sort of like Westbrook, Eric Gordon, Oubre, and Michael Bridges. Like, that team would probably make the playoffs, honestly. If their new coach works out, I can see that team making the playoffs. And while you're doing that, you have a couple draft picks now to rebuild with, so it wouldn't be bad. Another team I was thinking about was the Boston Celtics. I'm a Celtics fan. I don't even want this trade, but I seen it on my TL, and it was Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and we had the 14th pick this year for James Harden.
Yeah.
And someone said, would you take that as a Celtics fan? And honestly, I wouldn't. What do you think about that?
I don't understand why you wouldn't, though, because the upgrade from Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart to James Harden is huge.
See, but the thing...
But the problem is Kemba. And I feel like Kemba becomes useless.
Then he's there for no reason.
So
he's not to play off the ball to James Harden.
And he'll be like a shooting guard, and like he's...
Yeah, he would.
It would be like a Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum situation, and it won't work. And then that's my thing.
And then another thing is you lose Tatum's off-ball defense, because then he's gonna be the guy in starting lineup who's gonna have to guard guys on the ball, defender, and that's what Jaylen Brown does so well. Like what he did to Siakam. People think Siakam played bad. Obviously, he did play bad, but a lot of it had to do with Jaylen Brown actually defending him well. And that doesn't happen. Like, I don't know, Tatum to do that defensively, then also still score 27, even though Harden's there, it's just a lot to ask on the guy.
Lose your first best defender and your third best defender there, and get not a bad defender, but like not the kind of defender,
a guy who isn't as committed.
Yeah, exactly. So it would really throw the whole dynamic of the team off, and I think just Kemba's the problem.
And another thing is James Harden, is 30 years old now?
Yeah, and
obviously that is a move that it just shows you're going all in to win now. Because if there's a way you paired up James Harden to Jason Tatum, that's easily a top 3 duo in the NBA. Only LeBron and Anthony Davis is probably confidently better than that duo. But the problem with it is if you guys don't win a championship, when Tatum reaches his peak age, so let's say he's still in Boston, he has no one to play with.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas right now, Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart are both in the same age vicinity as Tatum. So you have a core of guys who if you could keep resigning them, can play winning basketball together for at least 8 years if they want to resign in Boston. So I just wouldn't take that route of the trade, because you're already a contender without him. Maybe you could take it over the top, but it would be kind of like the Kevin Garnett trade. It puts you in a situation where you have to get a title. You have to.
You have to, yeah, 100%. The only other option I saw that was kind of viable was trading back to OKC. And get your picks back.
Your picks back.
And
OKC wouldn't do that though, because they wouldn't do anything. They don't have anyone there to. You have to send James Harden to a place where he has another guy he could play with to win a title. Or else there's no point in trading for him.
Yeah, no.
So like the only other another option is like Miami. Like, would they give up Bam or? Because can Miami really make realistically could Miami make a good package for James Harden that didn't include Jimmy or Bam?
No.
I don't know what their drafting situation is, but Tyler Herro's trade value has rose dramatically over the postseason. Then you have Duncan Robinson, who's a very valuable NBA player.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, that's not enough to give you back James Harden, unless I don't know what their drafting situation. Unless they want to give them like the OKC pick package that they got from the Clippers. That's the only way really they could get him with keeping those two. So.
Yeah, I don't think Pat Riley's that kind of guy.
I mean, Pat Riley's real. When you're old like that. Like Jerry Jones said, like he'd give up a lot to just see his team win one more Super Bowl. Pat Riley might be feeling the same way. I'd give up a lot just to see that he win one more championship before I'm out of here, you know? So
you never know, but that whole situation really sets your team back if you don't win.
Yeah, that's the problem. But you know the way it's for sometimes you just gotta take the gamble, go all in. It's like the Raptors, they went all in. But people,
did they really?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People always talk about how the Raptors went all in, but they didn't really go all in because he literally left and they didn't get anything back, and they were still the second seed. So
exactly.
So yeah. But honestly, James Harden, I don't. Even though we talked about all these possible scenarios and there's been rumors around it, I honestly don't think James Harden's going anywhere before the season starts.
When that kind of level of a superstar, for him to move, I think he has to force himself out, and I don't think he'll force himself.
Yeah, top 5 players with multiple years left on the contract don't get traded. Has there ever been a time in NBA history where a top 5 player with multiple years left on his contract got traded? I don't recall.
How much did Shaq have left on his contract when
he got traded in Miami?
Yeah,
it was about to be a free agent, I'm pretty sure, because he signed a contract when he got there.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So yeah, that's like the most recent. I feel like I've.
Yeah, because even like Dwight Howard, when he got traded, it's because he was about to be free agent. That's why he left Lakers after 1 year. It's always you have a year left. Anthony Davis,
all these guys. Yeah, it's all the contract situations are only coming up, and that's the only reason you get traded. If you're there long term, they're gonna be like suck it up.
Yeah, just suck it up. So yeah, I honestly think James Harden stayed.